What is happening, sir?
Oh, you were talking about me?
I
Oh,
was talking
thank
about you, man. Absolutely was. That's
you.
right.
Thank you, man. I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, doing very well, man. Good to meet you in person. I appreciate this.
Same here. Thank you.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun, man. We're gonna dive into all things Dre, and I've been diving into all kinds of your stuff, man. And I love the mission. I love the way you approach things. I love what you're doing, man. I love the work. So I'm excited, man, to dive into you. And these guys may come in on the back end with some questions too. So uh, we'll
Okay,
have,
perfect.
yeah, we'll have a good time. Remind me where you are in the world.
Miami, Florida.
You're in Miami. Okay, that's right. You're on the East Coast like me. Okay.
Yeah. Where are you?
North Carolina now. Uh,
Okay, what's now?
so we're near Asheville.
Okay,
But California, born and raised. We've been out here for about
okay,
three years. So, yeah, good
okay.
place to be, man. So, man, thanks for coming in and hanging out.
Of
We're gonna have
course.
some fun questions too, but I'm interested in so much of the business, so much of what you're creating, man. Um, and I love because we have some of our young men that
Mm.
are joining us today. We got some of our teenage young men. So when we have our teenagers here, I like to go back and do a little bit of the origin story. Dre as a young 13, 14, 15. Where is this young buck? Where is he in the world? What's life look like for that guy? Because I know we're going to talk, you know, high school bench to 9-year pro career to content creator and entrepreneur. I know we're going to talk that journey, but who is this young teenager? Start us off there.
So we're talking around age 13, 14.
Yeah, who's that young guy?
So around that time, let's see, we're talking about seventh through ninth grade around that time. So I'm doing good enough in school. I was really good in school, probably through elementary school. And then when I
Yeah.
got to middle school and I used to wear bifocal glasses.
Okay.
So if you remember in the 90s, there used to be this TV show called Family Matters. You remember Steve Urkel?
Come on, man.
Yeah, so people used to call me Steve Urkel because I used to wear the glasses and I'm kind
Okay.
of tall and lanky and my clothes were tight before it was cool to wear tight clothes.
Yeah.
So then in fifth grade, my parents decided, I don't know why, but they decided to get me contact lenses instead of glasses. So when I took the glasses off, I went to becoming Stefan Urkel.
Stefan, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so some girls were interested. Yeah,
Yes,
so I
sir.
became cool overnight when I started wearing the contact lenses. So that's when I stopped really focusing so much on school. I mean, I still did it. I graduated, went to college and all that, but I wasn't trying to be an A student anymore. Good enough student. And then it got a little bit into sports, probably around age 14. I was always playing sports, but I wasn't like super into any one sport. It was in eighth, ninth grade that I started to really kind of focus on basketball. Wasn't good at all to get started, but I was kind of looking for what is my identity. I don't know that much about child psychology, but around that age, I was trying to figure out who am I? Where do I fit here? Am I a guy who hangs out in the streets? Am I a student guy? Am I a nerd guy? Am I an athlete guy? And if I'm an athlete, what sport? So I was just trying to figure it out. So that's where I was at that time period.
Too funny, man. I can say I don't know how many episodes we've done, 600, 700. We're probably somewhere in that range. I can
Yeah.
confidently say nothing about Jaleel White has ever come up. No Steve Urkel, no Stephon Urkel, but I am glad that it did, man. No, I love that. What was you touch on something that's super fascinating, man. It's interesting and it's uh,
Mm,
the teenage years, that identity piece of trying to figure out who we are. And it's so interesting because as a society, we focus on the very real struggle to define that as a young person. Sometimes we don't remember that that is a constant evolution. And I love your story because it illustrates that, because you're choosing, okay, I'm going to be the athlete guy right now. And again, choosing to be, the content creator, the entrepreneur later. Those are all identity shifts in and of themselves. What was it that made you choose? I mean, we're growing up in the same time frame. So are you watching Jordan and you're like, man, let's go? Or what? And it's okay if you're watching somebody else, man. That's all right too. But like, what was it that made you choose that path?
the sports thing,
Yeah.
well, it was more of a hope than it was a choice,
Okay.
I'll say, because when I first started playing basketball, Matt, I wasn't good.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
I decided that I was going to go to athletic route because I had some athletic genetics, or at least I thought I
Sure.
did. Because we got to remember, we're talking in the 90s.
Yep.
So in the 1990s, you don't have the internet, you don't have social media. So the
Right.
only other athletes you know are the kids you see at school. or the kids you see in your neighborhood. So in
Mhm.
that small pond, I surmised that athletically I had some gifts that most of them didn't have. So I was a little bit taller. I'm 6'4" now. My parents are not even 6 feet tall. My parents are like 5'8" and 5'7". They are
Okay.
biological though. We did the test and everything.
Yeah.
And they weren't athletes, but they encouraged me to do something because you have a young man, that energy has to go somewhere. So my
Right.
parents would send me to the park, play sports, tried a little football, never really played, tried baseball, wasn't good. Then basketball was the last option I could see.
Okay.
And because I'm a little bit taller, I can run, I can jump, I got long arms. I'm a black guy. Hey, maybe I can be a basketball player. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe it'll work out. So I'm hoping that I can make it as a basketball player. I didn't really become good at basketball in my own mind until I was about 18, to be
Yeah.
honest, where I
Yeah.
really felt confident. You put me on any basketball court, I can hold my own. I didn't feel like that until I was 18. So what made me think basketball is because I looked at everything else that I saw. I have a sister. She's a year older than me. She was a really good student. And to this day, she's a college professor. Go figure. She
Awesome.
followed the path perfectly. And I only have one sibling. And my parents were okay with me playing sports as long as I did enough, did the right things in school. And the only other options I saw where I was from was you got the guys who kind of stand on the corner, hang around the neighborhood,
Mhm.
and then you have people who just go work. They just go get a job somewhere.
Yep.
And again, this is 1990s. This is not, and the background that I come from, that is not like people are telling you go be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what that was. I think I
Right.
heard the word, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to get started. And back then it was not, you could not start a business from your couch with a phone in 1995.
That's
Couldn't do
right.
that. Right. So I'm just looking at my options. I didn't see that many. I never looked at it like this, but I didn't see that many options. I said, okay, well, I guess sports is my chance to
Yeah.
be something, be somebody. So that's how I chose sports. And then I just went all in, if you can call it that, on basketball. But again, I had no plan. I had no
Yeah.
trainer. I had no YouTube or Instagram to look at. Again, this is the 1990s. So it's not like I could look at those and say, all right, let me do what this influencer is doing. You couldn't do that. You
Right.
watch the game on TV and you try to remember what you remembered, or you watch some guy at the playground and you try to remember what he did. And then you come to the park the next day by yourself and you try to do it and you just practice. And that's all I did. So I was literally completely self taught in basketball. I just taught myself how to dribble, how to shoot, how to do moves, I'm right handed, so how to make a layup with your left hand. That was always a big thing the coaches would say. Can you use
That's
both
right.
hands? And just working on it by myself. The good thing about basketball, Matt, is that where I come from Philadelphia, PA. That's my home.
Okay. Got it.
So in Philly, there's basketball courts everywhere. There's playgrounds everywhere. You can walk no more than 10 minutes, you're at a basketball court. The good thing about basketball is, unlike baseball, football, you don't need another person to practice. You can just practice by yourself. As long as you got a ball on the court, you can practice. So I would just come to the park by myself and just try stuff. And I could feel myself getting better between ages 14 and 18. This is my high school years. I had no tangible proof that I was getting better, but I could feel I was getting better. So if you ask somebody in the neighborhood, is Dre getting any better? They would say no. He wasn't on the team last year. He's not on the team this year. But I could feel I was getting better. So in that sense, I kept trying, even though I couldn't tangibly show you. If you were, let's say you were an investor in my business, so to speak, and you said,
Yeah.
show me, Dre, why my investment is paying off, I couldn't answer the question.
Mm.
But when that investment did start paying off was around age 18 when I got off to college. Now you could see. So as long as extending this metaphor, if my investors had been patient for 4 years, they would have got a
Yeah.
payoff. So hopefully it makes.
Man, that's so good. Man, that's so good. That belief system
Mhm.
that, you said everybody else, well, we don't see it. We don't see it, so we're not necessarily willing to invest, but you're seeing
Right.
it, you're understanding it. You've got that belief in there that's continuing that drive to continue to put in the work. And that is something, in my experience, that is, whether you call it a DNA thing, whatever you want to call it, that is a separating factor from influential individuals who go on to create something. It is that belief they can see what nobody else sees, especially in themselves. and i
Mhm.
and I love every bit of that. So at 18, you believe this, you have that, now it's starting to be tangible. Was that when you walked into college, you walked on?
Yes.
Correct.
So yes, played in high school 1 year. 1 year I played in high school, I sat the
Yep.
bench. I scored 2 points per game. So those of you who know basketball know that's not much. I tell people, if you play hockey or soccer, you score 2 points per game, you make the Hall of Fame. Now, if
Right.
you score 2 points per game in basketball, you're a nobody. You probably need to find something else to do.
Mm.
So I get out of high school, no college is recruiting me to go play on the basketball team. I got some interest because of my academics, because I went to a magnet school. So even as a B student, at a magnet school, you still get better than the average student. So
Right.
I had people interested just on some lightly on academics, nothing like my sister, but something lightly. So I got accepted to a bunch of colleges, but none of them was because of sports.
Right.
So I ended up going to Penn State Abington, which is a branch campus of Penn State University right outside of Philadelphia. It's a
Yep.
commuter campus with no dorms. So basically, it's the 13th grade, if you get what I'm saying. There's no
Right.
dorms. So you're still living at home, but you're going to college. So you don't really get the college experience. And my plan was whatever college I ended up at, Matt, I was just going to find out where the basketball gym is because I understood the concept of walking on. I knew that was a thing. And walking on just means you walk in and try to play your way onto the team. I'll just find the basketball gym. I'll just play with whoever's in there, and hopefully I catch somebody's eye.
Yeah.
And word will get around like, hey, this guy, we don't know him, but hey, he can play a little bit. So that was my plan. And I went to Penn State Abington. That pretty much worked. Good thing about Abington is a very small campus. So there's only one gym, and all the basketball team would come in there eventually. And they saw me and they said, hey, this guy, he can play. So by the time we had tryouts, quote unquote, I knew I had a spot on the team. Everybody knew who I was. And
Yeah.
again, it's not because I had automatically become Kobe Bryant. It's just because I was on a small campus. Even my teammates who were upperclassmen, they weren't serious about basketball. They weren't ambitious. So the people who understand sports, I was just talking about this actually yesterday on social media, that when you're serious about a profession, you have to put in work outside of the basic requirements, the
Mm.
organizational requirements. So what I'd say to athletes, if you're serious about playing a sport, let's say you're in high school or college, you can't only train when the coach says we have practice.
Mm.
You must do some training outside of the required time of the system. And
Right.
if you're serious, you do it. And that's how I met a lot of my friends in basketball was who's coming to the gym outside of when the coach says be at the gym. And you could
Mhm.
tell who the serious ones were, who were ambitious versus the
Mm.
ones who were just playing because I'm here and I'm on the team, so I'll play while I'm here, but I'm not trying to go anywhere.
That's right.
So some of my best friends to this day are guys that I met in college, and we connected because outside of practice, we were in that gym training.
That's
And
right.
at Penn State Abington, my freshman year, because I ended up going to a different school, when we didn't have practice, I never saw my teammates. I couldn't tell you where they were because they would never be in the gym. They
Yeah.
never came to the gym to train on their own volition. I was in there all the time. Every free minute I had, I was in the gym practicing. You knew where to find me. But those guys, I never saw them anywhere. So I knew they weren't super ambitious about basketball. They were good, but they weren't ambitious.
Yeah.
So I knew there was a separation there. And as the other thing, this is the complication with Penn State Abington. At the time, you could only play 2 years of sports.
Mm.
Abington was a 4-year academically school, but you could only play 2 years at that time. Now it's 4 years. That back then it was 2. So after my freshman year, Matt, I see the clock ticking. I see the sand running down out of that what do you call that thing? Where the
That's
sand
right.
is?
Yeah. I got the picture in it.
Whatever it's called. Yeah, that
Yep,
thing.
I know what you're talking
yes.
about.
Yeah,
Somebody will help me out in the somebody will help me
yeah,
out in
somebody
the
put it in the
comment
chat.
section over here. Good God.
So the sand is running down out of that thing. And I'm like, okay, I got one more year. I had to figure out
Yeah.
where I'm going to go if I want to play basketball. Because if I don't go anywhere, I'm stuck here and I can't even play anymore. So that's what I was on my mind by the end of my freshman year.
It's hourglass. There it is.
Hourglass. Yes.
There it
There,
is, man. Just popped in my head.
there we
So
go.
yeah, man, and thank you for laying this out to me because this journey through basketball for you is such a metaphor for everything else you have done too. All right. And I
Mm,
want it because you have again from the content creation and the entrepreneurial side, I really want to make sure we touch on that. But it is such a metaphor. The skills you are developing as you're going through this basketball journey are directly transferable to some of these skills that have made you a successful entrepreneur too. So you've got that college experience. You also end up, can you walk us through just kind of getting into that? You got 9 years in the pros in Europe, that whole deal. And then I want to talk that transition into, okay, now how do I take this skill set and go serve other people? But talk
sure.
about that part.
Let's fast forward about 13 years. So what happens here is I end up transferring to Penn State Altoona for the rest of my college career. You could play 4 years there. Now I want to share this little anecdote. How I got recruited to go there. It wasn't because I was just blowing it up on the court at Abington. I was kind of, but not really. So the summer after my freshman year, mind you, Abington's a commuter campus. So you have to drive there if you want to. I would drive up there every day to use the gym because it was the first time in my life I had access to an indoor gym. So anybody who follows basketball these days, the kids these days, they don't even play on the playground anymore. They all play in indoor air conditioned gyms. They don't play on the street. I grew up playing on the street. So I finally had access to an indoor gym. I said, let me use it because you had to be a student. I would drive up there and use the gym every day. One day I walk across the campus. I park near the gym, but I walk over to the cafeteria because I hadn't eaten food that day. This campus only has 4 buildings, 2 classroom buildings, the gym, and the cafeteria. So I walk over to the cafeteria to get some food. A guy just approaches me and says, "Hey, what position do you play?" Random guy. Now, I know I don't know this guy because this is a small campus. I know I don't know him. He strikes up a conversation. Turns out he's a recruiter from Penn State Altoona. He works in the admissions office, but he's also the basketball coach. Now, how does this guy randomly find me on campus? He ends up recruiting me, long story short, and I end up transferring to Altoona within like 3 days. I transferred to Altoona. Now, the thing is, he wasn't actually there looking for me. This is the funny part, Matt. He was not looking for me. He was doing some other business, but he saw me walk by, and he later told me, "I knew what kind of players I needed for my roster the following season, and you looked like you might be that kind of player." He didn't even know if I could play. I might have been the biggest bum in town, but he recruited me because he said I looked like I might be able to play, and then he only found out later on that I could actually play. So it was a lucky guess, basically. And I tell people that story because the only reason that he found me is because I was going up to that gym every day on my own volition. This is in the summertime. This is not during the school year. This is in the summertime I got recruited. So I go to Altoona to finish out there. And getting out of college, nobody's checking for me to play pro. So same story as high school. Nobody's checking for me. Phone's not ringing. This is 2004, graduation. My first job out of college was not basketball. I got a job at Foot Locker as an assistant manager. I did that for 6 months. Then I got a job at a gym called Bally Total Fitness. You remember that gym?
Oh, I know Bally's. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bally's out of business now, but not because of me. I sold a lot of memberships for Bally Total Fitness. And that was in summer of 2005 now at this point, another 6 months. I go to this event called an exposure camp. You ever heard of that?
No, sir.
Exposure camp is like a job fair for athletes.
Okay.
So anybody who thinks they're good enough to have the job, but you don't have the job, you show up there to try to prove you can get the job. I go to an exposure camp. Now, as opposed to a job fair, Matt, you bring your sneakers and you actually play. You don't talk, you play.
Interesting.
So it's 200 guys there who all think they're good enough to play pro ball, but we're not playing, or we want better prospects.
Yep.
And we're all in there trying to compete against each other to prove that we should be the next guy that gets hired. And the audience is not just random people off the street. This is a destination event. So coaches, agents, scouts, managers from around the world come to these events looking for people to hire.
Yep.
So similar to a casting call. It's a meat market because we're all competing against each other, trying to prove we're good enough. I played pretty well at that event. Got the scouting report that said, "Hey, this guy actually is pro material." I got the footage. Footage was on this thing called a VHS tape. You remember those?
Right, baby. That's right.
Right. So the VHS tape of the footage. And this is the most important footage I own because I'm playing against pro level guys. Because mind you, at college, I'm playing against Division III guys who didn't have pro ambitions. So that doesn't prove anything. I needed to prove myself against guys who could actually play pro. I got it on this footage. So at this point, nobody's calling. And all this connects to my entrepreneurship. Nobody's calling my phone. Nobody's checking for me. Even after I went to the camp, my phone's not ringing. So what do? I go on Google, which did exist at this time, and I started looking up basketball agents. Because an agent, similar to the literary world or the acting world, an agent is the middleman between the jobs and the workers. I'm the worker. I want a job, but nobody knows me. So how do I get a job? Find a middleman, agent. I Google basketball agents. If I see an agent has an email address or a phone number, I'm reaching out to them cold calling agents. I cold called 60 basketball agents who I could find on Google in summer of 2005. Of the 50 or 60 that I called, I got in touch with about 20. 20 who I got in touch with said, "Okay, send me that footage you have." Because I told them all the same thing. I had some footage. Those wondering, why didn't you call them last year when you graduated? Well, I didn't have anything to show. Now I had something to show. I had some collateral. They said, "Send me the footage." Now, mind you, the footage is on a VHS tape. I'm sending out bubble mailers in the physical mail to these agents. This is not a YouTube link. So I'm sending bubble mailers out to these agents. I sent 20 videos out, not links, videos. Of the 20 who I sent the video to, one of them follows up and says, "I will represent you." So 60 agents, 20 conversations, 1 sale. I get an agent. He signs me. He got me my first contract. That was Kaunas, Lithuania in around this time. It was August 2005. That's how I started playing pro. And that started my career in basketball. Now here's where the parallel careers begin. I had that footage on VHS. Now, if you drop a VHS tape, you leave it in water, you leave it in the sun, you destroy your footage. I needed that footage to last. So what can I do to keep it? I heard that there was a new website out that said you could put up as much footage as you want for free. It's called youtube.com. This is 2005. So I take that VHS tape to an audio visual store and say, "Can you put this on a data CD?" They transfer the footage onto a data CD. The CD you can put in the computer. The CD footage, you can pull it off the CD and you can upload it to this new YouTube site That's how I started putting content on the internet. And it was basketball stuff. So I didn't care anything about YouTube. Because mind you, this is 2005. Who cares about YouTube? There's no such thing as an influencer. There's no such thing as content. There's no such thing as making money through putting free stuff on the internet. None of that exists. If you're putting videos on the internet or blogging in 2006, 2007, you're a bum who needs to get a real job and take a shower and do something serious with your life. That's how you were looked at that time. So nobody cares about YouTube. I don't care about YouTube. I'm playing basketball and I'm just trying to keep my career going. I go check YouTube like 6 months later. There are comments on the video and people are like, yo, who are you? Where'd you play? Who taught you? Who do you play for now? And I realized that there was an underserved audience of kids who were me, but just 10 years younger than me. They wanted to play basketball. They wanted to get better, but they didn't have anybody to teach them. Only difference between them and me is that, well, first I was older. Secondly is that they could go to the internet and get help, whereas I was on my own and get help. Either you know somebody or you don't. Now in 2006, 2007, you can go on the internet and get help from some random person who you never even met. What sounds normal now, it wasn't normal in 2006. And that's when I realized, Matt, okay, I can start helping people and maybe kind of serve my ego at the same time because they're coming to me for help. Yeah. People ask you for help, they're serving your ego. And a lot of people don't understand that. When you ask somebody for help, you are actually showing them that they might know something that you don't, which often is enough of a payment to another person just to show them that you're humble enough to ask for help. And that told me, okay, I work out every day. I go to the gym every day. Why don't I just take my little cheap $100 camera? This is before we had cameras on our phones. Right. Let me take my cheap little $100 camera, just record every workout that I do, and I'll put some of this stuff on YouTube when I feel like it. Again, there's no business strategy here. Yeah. When I feel like it, I'll put videos on YouTube. So I would just record my little workouts. I would take little clips, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and put it on YouTube once a month. Again, there's no strategy. So I do that for a couple of years. I'm playing overseas. I play in Lithuania. I play in Mexico. I play for a traveling team in USA. I play in Germany. I play in Montenegro. We get to about 2009. Phone's not ringing again. I'm a free agent. People have to understand that most athletes are not LeBron or Kobe. We are not going from, we don't sign 5-year contracts. You have a 1-year contract, and when that contract's over, you have no job until you get another contract, if you get another contract. Professional athlete careers are short. Average football career is 3.5 years. Baseball, 5.5. Basketball, 4.5. Most pro athletes are retired before they turn 30. A lot of people don't understand that. That's most people ain't Kobe or Tom Brady. They don't play till they're 40-something years old. That's not a thing. So phone's not ringing. 2009. I'm 27 years of age. I just finished reading. Go back in the story real quick. When I was in college, I responded to an ad that ended up being network marketing and didn't build a career in network marketing, but I went to a couple meetings. And one thing I learned there was about personal development. And they name dropped several authors: Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Napoleon Hill, people I never heard of. And they name dropped the book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I read that book and it planted a seed in my mind to be an entrepreneur. Didn't do anything with it. I said, when I get done college, I'm going to play basketball. When I get done basketball, I'm going to do something like what this guy's talking about. Couldn't quite explain it, but it was in my head. 2009, phone's not ringing. I just finished reading what I consider to be the digitalized concept of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I just read that book about a year earlier, and phone's not ringing, but I got an audience on YouTube. There's a chapter in his book, because I just reread it probably about 6 months ago, that says, here's how you build a product on the internet and sell it. I did exactly what he said in 2009. That's when I created and sold my first product. It was a training program for basketball players because they were always asking, can you help me? Yeah. $4.99. One for dribbling, one for shooting. Those are my first ever products. $4.99. And I remember I made a sale, or not a sale. I put the video up on YouTube and said, hey, all of you asking me for training programs, I got a new website. It's called hoophandbook.com. Go there. You can get training programs. I got one for dribbling, one for shooting. At the time, I had a BlackBerry phone. Did you have the BlackBerry back in the day?
I remember the BlackBerry. Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I had the BlackBerry phone. It had a little red light that would blink when you got an email or a text. So the red light's blinking and it says, congratulations, you made a sale. And $4.99. And I remember when I made that sale, Matt, I said to myself, I won't be able to jump 40 inches in the air forever, but I can take an idea, turn it into a product, and sell it forever. That told me this is what I need to be doing. Like, yes, I'm going to keep playing basketball for as long as I can. I played for 6 more years, but the money, the future, my retirement is this right here. What I now know to be intellectual property. It wasn't physical property, because physically there's only so much you can do but for so long. But Taking an idea, turning it into money, I could do that. I got plenty of ideas. So that's where I started to transition. So from 2009 through 2015, I'm making training programs for basketball players. Self-publishing becomes a thing. So I start writing books, putting those out. I got a lot of basketball players reading books because they were fans of me, so they would read a book. Then I started creating courses. And also, other thing is the basketball players I was teaching on YouTube, they were all learning from me tangible things: how to dribble, how to do this step back move, how to do, you like this move Kobe did, let me show you how he does it. It's
Mhm.
tactical stuff on the court. But the players started asking Dre, what about the mindset? Because their challenge, Matt, was they would see me in the gym every day on YouTube practicing, but they would say, Dre, they would say, I don't feel like practicing every day, Dre. How do you make yourself go to the gym every day and practice? Or, Dre, I do really good practicing by myself or playing on the court with my friends, but then I get in the game with 300 people watching and I don't play as well. How
Yeah.
do you deal with that performance anxiety? Or, Dre, I heard you got cut from your high school team 3 years in a row, and then the 1 year you played, you sat the bench. That's a true story. Dre, I just got cut from my high school team for the 3rd year in a row. I want to quit. How did you keep yourself going? Or they'd ask, oh, how do you even get started with any of this stuff? And some of them wanted to get started being on the internet, because now being on the internet was a career option. So I started talking about these things: discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative in these videos. I called them the weekly motivation. And I put out the weekly motivation on a Monday once in 2010, first one. And I said, listen, all of you keep asking me about mindset. I'll do this one time. If you like it, tell me in the comments and I'll keep doing it. But if you don't like it, that's cool. And I'll stick to basketball. All right, what do y'all want? And they said, no, we like it. Keep doing it. Keep doing the mindset. So I did this mindset video once a week, weekly motivation. I did it for 400 Mondays in a row. And Matt, that became the foundation for where we're at today,
Hmm.
because several things happened. Number one, the basketball player said, Dre, your ability to explain mindset is just as good, if not better, than your ability to explain basketball. Number two, people who didn't play basketball started finding those videos and saying, Dre, I don't even play basketball, but the way you explain mindset, I can use that. That told me that I was not limited to talking to athletes. I can talk to people who never picked up a ball in their lives. And number three, it helped me because I started talking more in my videos. It helped me get the proverbial 10,000 hours of practice in articulating what I understood internally and being able to put it, quote unquote, on paper. So I did that from 2010 to, well, ongoing. It's still going. And that really told me, okay, there's a whole world of people out there who just want the mindset piece. And I realized, and I'll stop talking in a second, Matt, that I
Okay.
realized that my superpower was not playing basketball, is not even mindset, is not entrepreneurship. My superpower was and is my ability to understand something and then be able to break it down and put it back together and articulate it to other people. That's my superpower. It doesn't matter the subject. I
Yep.
just happen to play basketball and I happen to know mindset and I happen to learn business. But my
Right.
superpower is my ability to break things down and explain it, and you could apply it to anything. So that's what really got me to entrepreneurship.
That's exactly right. No, don't apologize at all, ever. That was brilliantly laid out. It is a superpower to be able to articulate these lessons and transfer those lessons. Again, that's why I
Mhm.
wanted you to go so heavy into the basketball journey at the beginning, because those
Mhm.
lessons are what transferred over. You can articulate that, but I'm gonna say that you even missed a part of your brilliance right there too, because your ability to pay attention and see those patterns as well is something that
Mhm.
I've noticed not every man has. And so you see those patterns too, and you continue to implement it for yourself. That evolution that you talked about, your entrepreneurial journey of see, oh, okay, here's the next step. Here's the next step. You weren't worried about, you even said at one point, the words you used were couldn't quite explain it.
Mhm.
And being comfortable there is a superpower too, going, okay, I can't quite explain it. I'm
That's
going
right.
to go generally in this direction. And
Mhm.
then let's see what happens. And I'm going to test it and I'm going to pay attention. And then I'm going to choose the next thing. And then I'm going to wait. I'm going to see what happens. And I'm going to choose that. And being secure there is a superpower in and of itself, and you're gaining all that self-awareness the whole way. So man, I love all of that. And there's something I saw last night. Somebody sent me this clip. There's a documentary out about Billy Joel right now. I've never been a big Billy Joel fan, phenomenal artist. I appreciate and respect what he does. It's not been my kind of music, but there was a part in there where he says, yeah, he's talking about this famous song that he has. And he said, it started out as something completely different. And all the guys around me went, we hate it. And he goes, I liked it, but they didn't. So I just said, okay, how do I keep this but change it? And that
Mm,
is the hallmark of a brilliant entrepreneur. And that's exactly what you were doing over and over and over. So, man, I appreciate that so much. And the 10,000 hours, man, you got 10,000 iterations,
right.
right? And so
That's
that,
great.
like, that again is just phenomenal. I've got a couple things that I want to pull. Gentlemen who are here, men and young men, if you guys start having some things that you guys want to pull out, do me a favor. You put your hand up. I'll start bringing you guys in for some Q&A too. But I want to dive a little further in this. So, when did you and how did you start to add systems and structure to all of this? Because here's one
Mm,
thing I've seen from a lot of people, and I will say this has been part of my something I'm thankful for, and something that I had to teach myself around too, because I could also see patterns. I could change my iterations and just keep going, but at some point you scale enough to where, okay, now there needs to be systems and structure in place, right? I
mm.
can't just I can't just wing it anymore. I got to have those systems. How did you start to implement systems and structure around your business?
Good question. So it actually started on YouTube with the basketball stuff
Okay, all right.
because around 2009, YouTube introduces this program where now you can make money for posting videos.
Yeah,
So basically, those of you not old enough to remember, there was a time you could watch YouTube all day and not see ads.
that's
So
right.
this is, after Google buys YouTube, they put ads on the videos. Now you can make money. So I realized basically the way it was when it first started was the more your videos get viewed, the more money you make. It was simple as that.
Mhm,
At this time, I'm putting out videos sporadically. So I said, why not just put out video every day? I mean, if I can get paid every day, I'll put out video every day.
mhm.
Problem, I don't have 365 ideas of what to show people on how to play basketball. That was the problem. Now, this was 14,000 videos ago. So I'll tell you how I solved it. So I solved this by coming up with a formula for every time I thought of one move, I would put it through this system of like 30 iterations of a move. So if I
Mm,
came up with one idea, I had to do 30 versions of that one idea because I had 30 different things you could do with every one idea. You get what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
So that way, if I came up with 10 ideas, that equals 300 videos because
For
it's 10
pieces.
times 30.
Right.
Right. So each one I came up with, you basically count that as 30 videos. So I recorded 20 to 30 videos every day, Monday through Friday from 2009 through 2015. So you calculate how many videos that is.
Sure.
So I still got a couple thousand in Google Drive that I never put out. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe my son will put them out. He's
There
3 years
you go.
old.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So maybe he'll put them
right.
out one day, the
Yeah.
archives. Yeah. So that's where I started with thinking of a formula. How do I do? And I always thought about this again, is that phrase again, before I could explain what I was doing. So as I explain this more often to people, people have said to me, Dre, you're a systems thinker. And I think I am. I think in systems, I think in frameworks, I think in formulas. How can I take this thing that I want to do? How can I do it over and over and over and over again to the point that I don't have to think about it? I've always thought like that because I'm big on consistency. I'm big on discipline. That's my main thing, my calling card. So when it came to thinking of systems, so let's say 2015, I stopped playing basketball. I'm still solo in training programs, and now I start working with people who are not athletes. And yes, they come in on the mindset piece. A lot of them came on, I need more mental toughness. I need to be more disciplined. I want to be more confident. And they're coming from all different types of industries. And as I continue to work with them, Matt, what I found out is that a lot of them have no systems. A lot of
Mm,
professionals don't have systems. People who are professional, and by professional, I mean you do something as your main paid occupation, but they have no codified process for how do we achieve the ideal outcome over
yep.
and over and over again. And they're not even trying to get one.
Yep.
They just happen to have success because maybe they're very good, maybe they're very talented, maybe they're in the right market, maybe someone else is generating the leads, but they don't have a system like how do we get this outcome right here over and over again? How do we do it? And most of them didn't even think about it, or even if they did think about it, they didn't want to think about it too hard because they would realize that they don't have an answer.
Mhm.
And as I continue to develop my ability to develop systems that could apply to anything, whether we're talking basketball, mindset, anything else, I realized that I could help them with this because my ability is not industry specific.
Right.
I was talking to this guy, I had an event a few years ago, and he said, your framework, Dre, is industry agnostic. It was a great term because it
That's
doesn't matter
great.
what industry you're in. This guy was in the military for 21 years. And he said, this can apply to my guys.
Mhm.
This can apply to a financial advisor. I have a lot of finance clients. This can apply to someone who has a food truck, right? Someone who has a clothing business, someone who's trying to teach people how to play the piano. These are all people who I work with. Single moms who work in the government. I've never done any of these things, but they work with me because my formula doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what industry you work in. That's the skill. So that's how I started to do it, is because I just noticed the need in the marketplace that a lot of people need the mindset still. The difference is, Matt, that mindset is not always so easy to sell because you can't hold it, you can't touch
That's
it,
right.
it's intangible.
That's right.
Everybody knows they need it, but it's harder to quantify, pay me
Yeah.
this much money because I'm going to help you with your mindset.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
as easy.
It's not
Right.
as easy, even
Right.
though it is quite literally the
The
foundational.
main thing. Exactly. Right. It's
Exactly.
exactly what
But
everybody needs, but nobody values it
a hundred
because you can't
percent.
hold it.
That's exactly
Right.
right. And actually, and I wrote down a few things that I've seen you say too that I absolutely love. Before I even have you, potentially expand on those for us.
Mm.
Who are some of the people that you like to read or look to right now when we're talking? Because you're talking about my favorites. You're talking about all my favorite things. And
Mm.
by the way, I'm no Dre Baldwin, and my parents are also very short. My dad's 5'8", my mom's 5'2". I'm only 5'9". Dre, I used to be able to dunk.
Oh,
Dre,
yeah.
Dre. I used to be able to play a little, but I was no Dre. I was not that good. But we were okay in
You
California.
can dunk. That's impressive at
We
5'9".
took second in the state in California for Division II my senior year, so we were
Yeah.
all right. We played okay, but I'm no Dre Baldwin. But there's so many things that you're saying, man, that I resonate with, and this mindset piece is a huge part of it. Who are some of the people that you like now or that you read now that kind of focus on whether they influence your work or not? Who are some of
Mm.
the people in that space that you like?
From mindset.
Yeah. Anybody in
Yeah.
particular?
There's a
That's
funny thing. There's a funny thing with mindset, Matt, is that I don't even listen to too many other people
I
mindset stuff
believe that.
because I don't want this stuff to blend into my stuff. I don't want to
I
start saying
believe it. I understand that.
yeah.
A
So
hundred percent, man.
yeah,
I
a lot of
understand that.
them I don't really. I listen to a lot of people on like business mindset and
Yeah.
business strategy stuff. It's
Yeah.
not so much like discipline, mental toughness, because I listen to them and I'm like, man, my stuff's better than this guy.
I understand. I
Yeah.
complete man. I completely understand, and I won't throw shade on anybody. And we've got a lot of guys
Mhm.
that we've had in and gotten to work with that are phenomenal humans. And but I'm much of the same when it comes
Mhm.
to that, man. I'm right there with you. What about business mindset? Again, I got a few things that you've
Business, I
said.
got a lot.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
business? Who do you like there? Just out of curiosity.
One person I listen to a lot is Dan Kennedy.
Yeah,
He's
man.
an older guy. He's
Yeah,
probably
oh, yeah.
70 something, like basically retired now, but a lot of his material lives on.
Yep, for
So a
sure.
lot of Dan Kennedy stuff when it
Yep,
comes to that's just overall business structure and
yep,
just straight. I mean, his whole thing is called no BS. So
yep.
he's my cup of tea. Dan
Yeah,
Kennedy.
cool.
You have Russell Brunson, who really got me knowing
Sure.
Dan Kennedy because he's the one who brought him up.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
I got
so
Russell
Russell is
stuff back
yeah,
here.
of course. Yeah, so I'm a
Yep.
big Russell fan. I go to the conference. Do you go to the conference?
I've never been to the conference, man. Never
No.
have been. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yep.
but Russell is good on the marketing stuff, more contemporary. He's around my age, probably early 40s.
Yep.
Otherwise, business is a guy named Jim Edwards. He's a good copy guy. I like Jim
Okay.
on the copy. Hormozy is pretty good. He's very popular. So I
Cool.
listen to his stuff. Every time I listen to one of his videos, even if it's an hour long, I always pull two or three ideas out. Like, hey, that right there is good. I'll stop it and write that down. He always has really good tactical stuff. So I like Hormozy on that. Man, there's so many. Benjamin Hardy. Ben
Yeah.
Hardy and Dan Sullivan, 10x is easier than 2x. I've read that book probably 8 times in 2.5 years,
Yeah. That's
over and over again. Dan Kennedy's book I read multiple times. Trying to think who else. Man, there's so many. I got to think of some others. If you come back to that
yeah.
question, I'll think of others.
Oh, that's really good. I
Taking
just
so much
that's
material, it's hard for me to remember.
so many good humans though, man. And that's I
Yeah.
and I just that's out of just curiosity too, because just again, I resonate with a lot of what you're talking about. Alex is brilliant. I go out and see him every few months or so out in Vegas. We've been working with him on what we're doing
Okay.
here. His wife too, man. She is just Layla is just like I find myself chatting like when we're chatting, I'm like Alex, brilliant. Layla is like this dude. She's on another planet with some of this stuff. So yeah, brilliant human beings, man.
All right.
So good. So there's a
I
few
would say
things.
Cardone also before you go.
Oh
Grant
yeah,
Cardone
Grant, man.
also.
Yeah,
He's down here in Miami, so I've
yes,
worked
he
with
is.
them a little bit
Yeah,
as far as the pressing your foot on the gas when it comes to marketing, get your name out there.
yeah,
That's his thing.
yeah,
So I like
yeah,
him on that.
yeah. 100%,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, Grant's a killer.
Mhm.
And he's had an evolution of how he comes. A lot of people don't like him too, or they think they don't like him. They don't know him, but they think they don't like him. But you see
Right.
this evolution. He's a solid dude, man.
Yeah.
I think he's a good human being.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things that I saw that you said, it was something along the lines of there's a permission we should give ourselves. It was like to not conform to who we already are.
Yes.
And I love the way I love that. I love that sentence. Permission to give yourself to like to not conform to who we already are. What does that mean to you? Can you unpack that a little bit? 'Cause that was really good.
Yes. So when I talk about confidence, my framework for confidence is called the super you. And the example that I use is a kid who's in high school playing basketball, and he's like the 10th guy on a 12-man roster. So he's not very good. He's
Mhm.
average on his best day. One day in practice, the coach says, and I'll ask the room, they can answer this. He says, today we're going to do a experiment. Each one of you is going to pretend to be one of your teammates. And he goes down the line and he points out each player, okay, you're going to pretend to be this guy. You be that guy. You be that guy. And this works because they all know each other because they practice every day.
Yeah.
So this guy, the storyteller, his name's Tucker. His assignment is to be his teammate Mike. Now, Mike just happens to be the best player on the team. Mike has a D1 scholarship. He was already the leading scorer on the team. So the question I will ask any audience, and I'll ask this audience, how do you all think he played in practice that day? His assignment, according to the coach, is to play like Mike. Now, he's the
Mm,
10th best player on the team, but his assignment is to play like the best player on the team. So what do you
mm.
think he actually did?
Oh, I know for a fact, and I don't know if you guys are going to jump it. And Beckett probably knows the answer, but Beckett, I know you have a question too. So I'm guessing he upped his game that day.
Okay. Well, when I ask audiences, I say, well, who thinks he played worse? Who thinks he played the same? Thinks he played better? It's usually a mix of everything. And the answer
Yeah,
is, yeah, he played amazing that day.
yeah,
He was doing moves he never even tried before.
yeah.
He's making shots that people didn't think he could even think of. And his teammates are looking at him slack-jawed like, hey, where's this coming from? Because he never did this before. And
Mhm,
that's the super you. Now, the
mhm.
reason why I use that as an example is because it's not you're walking around as if you're this person. See, that's the fake it till you make it. See, that's the misnomer. That's not a real thing. As if or pretending. The reason why I use basketball is because in basketball you can't fake the ball going in the basket. Either you made the
Right,
shot or you didn't. It actually happened. That's a
right.
real tangible thing. And the reason why I also use that example to go back to your question here, Matt, is because Tucker always had the ability to play like that. He didn't just all of a sudden become a good player because the coach said pretend to be Mike. You don't
Mm,
in 30 seconds just all of a sudden get good. You are who you are. The reason why he was the 10th best player on the team is because that was his identity.
mhm.
And when the coach gave him permission to stop adhering to that identity and told him, basically assigned him to give a different identity, all of a
Mhm,
sudden he started playing at a whole different level, which
mhm.
meant that was always within him. He just didn't have the permission to use it.
That's it. He
The
just
coach
did
gave
not.
him the
Oh,
permission to be
man.
that guy.
If people listen to this, and not just the guys that are here live, man, but people listen to this as this goes out, if you grasp nothing else other than that, understanding that the 6 inches between ear to ear, man, that is the thing that you are waiting to get permission from, and that you can do that any moment you choose and completely change. You are under no obligation to stay the same person as you were before you even started listening to this. Never mind, 6 months, years long. Like you can make that decision at any time. I love that. I love that example, man. Oh, I love that example. Well, let's hear. We got a hand up too. So let's bring another basketball player into the mix here. And I say another, like I'm not putting myself in that category by any stretch. Mr. Wells, how are you, sir?
Good. Thank you, Mr. Baldwin, for coming on this
Thank you.
call today. I had a
Sure.
quick question on the line of kind of how you were talking about. Was there any certain basketball player that you tried to image when playing or that you looked up to that you admired, and what position did you play?
Sure. Good question. Beckett, how old are you?
I'm 14.
Okay, so I'm probably going to outdate you with some of these references, but you might know some of the names. So I was looking like 1995 on the players that I would try to look at. I didn't try to play like anybody, but I would take pieces from everybody. So I would take a piece from Shaquille O'Neal. I'm sure you know who he is, even though
Mhm.
he's 7 feet, 300 pounds. I liked Reggie Miller was one of my first favorite players. Of course, you had Jordan, but everybody liked Jordan. So it was almost like a Jordan backlash if you didn't live in Chicago at that time.
That's why
Uh,
you went Reggie. There you go,
yeah,
Reggie.
exactly. You got the Reggie Miller. You got Patrick Ewing. The Knicks were my favorite team for a while. Patrick Ewing,
Yeah.
7 feet.
Yep.
Charles Barkley played in my hometown, Philadelphia. Then you got Penny Hardaway. So a lot of guys who were taller, and we knew we wanted to play guard, but they wouldn't let us because we were taller than everybody else. Penny Hardaway gave us hope because he was like 6'7". He played point guard. Who else? Then you got Allen Iverson in Philadelphia, because everybody wanted to do the crossover. One of my favorite players is a guy named Steve Francis. I'm not sure you know about
Yeah,
Steve. Yeah, Steve is one of my favorites. Steve Francis, Tracy McGrady,
yeah.
along those lines as well. Then you have Vince Carter, because my thing was athleticism, so I was an above the rim guy. So Vince Carter was the guy above the rim.
Mhm.
Of course, you had Kobe Bryant, and I would say that was pretty much it. And then as I've gotten older, I don't play actively anymore, but when I watch the game, I watch back all of Jordan's. I basically watched Jordan's whole career, and I've just come to appreciate him even more. Of course, you have LeBron. Let me not forget LeBron. I
Sure.
didn't try to play like him, but I would take a piece. I could take something from anybody. I don't care who it is. So I never tried to play like anybody. I always wanted to be an all-around player, Beckett. I wanted to be the type of player who any team you put me on, whatever that team needs, I can provide it. I didn't want to be the type of guy that I'm a scorer. So if you already have scores, then I'm basically useless. Or I'm a
Mhm.
rebounder. If you have rebounders, you don't need me. I want to be a kind of player that, okay, what do you need? You need defense? I can do that. You need a scorer? I'll do that. You need a shooter? I'll do that. I wanted to be a player who had no holes in my game. So I would borrow from anyone.
It's really good.
Mm,
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
sure.
And
On
Mr.
my
Wells.
position, he was one more question. Yes, I didn't answer. He asked what position I played. I played guard. So I was 6'4". In the neighborhood where I grew up, everybody is short. So I was playing center in rec leagues. In high
Yeah.
school, I was like a backup center. In college, I got to play on the wing, and sometimes I would get moved to power forward. But in the pros, when you step into the pros, there's 6'10", 7-foot guys on the team. They expect you to be able to handle the ball and play guard.
Yep.
So even if you are forced to play center in high school, you better be working on your guard skills on your own. So when you get to college, you can actually play. And I'll give you one last piece. Someone like Kobe Bryant, because he's from outside of Philly, Lower Marion. His high school games came on in my town. He was like 6'7" in high school. He was the tallest player on his team. He was basically the center. If you watch the games, Kobe was functionally a center. But he got to the NBA, he was a shooting guard.
Mhm.
Thing is, Kobe worked on his guard skills on his own time. And then when he came into the team concept, he did what the team needed. So a
Mhm.
good player always does what the team needs. And if you are thinking about your next level, you can't impose that on your current situation because that's not what the team needs. You play to the team, but on your own, you work on what team you're going to be on tomorrow. So I use Kobe as an example there because people may not want to hear it from me, but when I use Kobe, they'll listen to it. So
That's good.
yeah,
No, that's really good.
Yes,
And Mr.
sir.
Wells, Mr.
Being,
Wells,
you
think
know,
about what
sure.
he's saying there too on the, he's talking about it was something it folded right into your board of directors and what you do there. He says, he can take something from everybody, right? He's watching all
Mm-hmm.
these different players. Like I can pull something from everybody. That board of directors project that you guys take on during this year is it's exactly that. You're pulling some of the people in my board of directors, and I've got them up here on the wall over here. I'm not even looking. A couple of these guys aren't even necessarily good people, but there's one or two things
Mm-hmm.
that are in there. I go, ooh, that's an amazing quality. And if I can adopt that and figure out how that looks when I get to go serve and lead other people, that's what we're doing, right? He's talking about the exact same thing. Just using basketball is a great example of that. No, it's
Sure.
really
Thank
good.
you for the question,
yes, sir.
Beckett.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, Matty Conway says Rockets were dirty in that area. That's right, that era. Steve
Yeah,
Francis, he was a Maryland Turpin,
that's
uh,
right.
I think, right? He was, yeah,
Yes.
he was no joke, man. Yeah, and six. I remember playing Brandon Armstrong. So he ended up going up.
Mm.
He was 6'4". I remember playing against him in high school. He ended up going to Pepperdine and then played for the Nets for like 3 years.
Yes, I remember him. I remember
Yeah.
him.
So I
Yep.
remember he dropped about 30 on me. That dude was no joke, but that was
Yeah.
it. But same. I mean, that dude could do. He could do anything. He was working on. I remember when we were younger in junior high, he was essentially playing center for that crew.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
there's another thing I remember you saying. It's like the mind, and I think this is a similar sort of concept of things we're talking about, but it's like the mind decides, flesh obeys,
Yes.
right? And is that kind of the core fundamental philosophy that you're talking about here?
It could be one of them. I mean, I talk about so
Yeah,
many different things. You could
you do.
apply a lot of them. So, yes, the mind decides, the flesh obeys, meaning that it is mind over matter, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Once you decide that something's going to happen, your body has no choice but to follow if you've actually decided.
that's right.
And the thing is, the word decision comes from a Latin word meaning to cut off. That's the root, the etymology of the word. Decidere means to cut off. So when you
Mhm.
make a decision, you're cutting off every other possibility.
Mm,
So if you've made a real decision, there's nothing to think about. It's just now let's go
that's
do
right.
the thing that you've decided to do.
Oh,
So the flesh has no choice but to follow
yep.
through because it doesn't have anything else it can do.
I love that. I love taking a look at the etymology of the words. We always say Socrates says the beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms. And
That's
so
right.
you're finding those things when people say, "Oh, I'm struggling right now." Oh, are you? Good, because if you look at what struggle actually means, it means there is a violent opposition against the chains that are around you. So
That's
that's
right.
great. If you're actually struggling, that means you're taking violent action against whatever it is that's holding you back. So are you really struggling? Right? Did you really make a decision right there when you
Mhm.
know what it actually means? I love that, man. One of the last things I have on my side before we figure out where to go and what you're building, it ties into what you're building now. Um, the next, 5, 10 years, and
Mhm.
people ask me quite a bit because we have hundreds of schools that we're building. We got thousands of parents within our programs. We've got all these people. We're raising strong families. And so people ask quite a bit, okay, the next 5 to 10 years, what does X, Y, and Z look like? And there's no way that I can answer the question because I can't see into the future. I'm only making educated guesses in any number of ways. So when it
Mhm.
comes to your stuff, publishing and coaching services and AI integrations and all the, we can guess on what's coming, but we have to be comfortable knowing that we can't fully know and that we'll figure it out as we go, much like what you've already articulated very well on this show. So, how are you thinking about the next 5 to 10 years, knowing that change is coming, knowing we have a little bit of an idea of what kind of changes are coming, but that we can't
Mhm.
fully know? How do you think about that from an entrepreneurial standpoint with all of these industries that you've got fingers in? Obviously they're going to adapt and shift and change. How do you think about all those?
Sure. So three things. Number one is we know artificial intelligence is a thing and it moves faster than we think it's going to move.
Yes, sir.
So I tell people that within the next 5 years, it doesn't matter if someone comes out with an incriminating photo or video of you, you could just say it's AI and nobody will be able to tell the
So
difference.
true.
Yeah. So
So
that's coming. All right. And
true.
so for us, I have so much content. I have 20
Yeah.
years worth of material, literally 20 years worth of material every single day. It's looking at staying plugged into the AI world, the tech world. I'm a computer geek, but I'm not a tech geek, if that makes sense. I'm surface computer. I don't know how to code.
Yep.
But finding out where AI is going and how I can take all this material and teach systems and teach programs that can teach my stuff or synthesize my stuff and make it a completely searchable database of every word that I've ever spoken. I say before 2030 that will exist. That
Mm,
you can go and look up when did Dre talk about the mind decides and the flesh obeys, and it will pull up all 36 times I said it, what show I said it on, what minute I said it at, the screenshot of how people were looking when it got said. That's coming in the next 5 years. I
yeah.
would say 15, but it's probably going to be 5. That's how fast this tech is moving. So leveraging that as AI comes around. That's one thing. That
Yeah.
one I can't predict as much because I'm not a creator of AI. I use it. The second one is understanding that I gotta get out the driver's seat. That's the next thing for me. Getting out the driver's seat means work on your game as an entity needs to be doing more work than Dre Baldwin as an entity. So
Mm,
I want to own the vehicle, but I don't want to be driving it. So basically, mixed metaphor here. I want to turn work on your game into an autonomous vehicle. All right, so it'll be like Waymo. All right, and the vehicle can drive, but I don't have to sit in it, and I don't have to do everything. So that's all about systems. It's extracting everything. So even though I'm a systems thinker, thinking about a system and building one are two different things. So you
mm,
still have to extract everything. You got to take all the coaching calls, all the questions that I've asked, all the answers that we got, and we had to put that into systems. It has to literally be documented. So we
mm,
have to make the SOPs, we have to make the manuals. If you want to run a coaching call like I run a coaching call, here's how you learn how to do it. Read this
mm.
50-page book. Look at these 300 examples. Someone asked this question. Here's how I answer it. Here's why. We had to put all that together.
Yep.
So putting all those pieces together to better remove me out of the driver's seat to where I still own the system, but I'm not the one working in the system the whole time.
Mm,
And then the third thing is connected to that is the enterprise. So the enterprise is most of my work over the last 20 years has been one-to-one. So I can have a basketball player watch me on YouTube, buy the program, help himself out. Some financial advisor hires me as a coach, I help them out. Yes, we've done some sales training, we do some work with companies, but I want to do more of that to where I can have the same conversation we're having here. Let's just say if it was just me and you talking, Matt, this was a coaching call. there's probably 3,000 other people in America who have the same questions that you have that need to be answered. How can I get all 3,000 of them to get the same answer at the same time without me having to have 3,000 conversations?
Right.
That requires the enterprise. How do we put that into place to where we can start getting this out to companies? How can we get Microsoft to get the work on your game system to 1 million people? And of course, they got to pay us for that. Right? How do we do that? How do we put that in place? And that really becomes, and this is a thing we haven't talked about much here, but in business, let me back up. In the sports world is about performance. If you can play, nobody has to like you. You don't have to have any friends. As long as you can play, somebody's going to hire you because they have no choice but to hire you because the game is about that scoreboard. The business world is not like that. Yes, you need to be able to play. Yes, you should be good, but the business world is a lot about relationships.
Right.
Who knows you, who likes you, who trusts you.
Right.
And in the business world, it's not always about competition, it's about collaboration. And like right now, this is a collaboration, right? So you have an audience of people who wants to hear this. I have some material that they haven't heard from someone like myself. We collaborate. I get something, you get something. Business is about collaboration. It's about who do you know? Who knows you, who likes you, who trusts you. If you're the best person in the world at what you do, but nobody knows you, it doesn't matter. In the sports world, if you're the best and nobody knows you, it matters because you still have to get on the team because you're good. But in business, you can be average. If you know the right people, you can get an opportunity. And I'm sure, Matt, you have enough business experience. You've seen some mediocre people on stages.
So, man, and quite literally on stages. So as I
Literally,
mean,
yes.
quite literally, as you're talking through this, you know, when I was first building out my first campuses and my first businesses years before what we've got going on here, as I was building that out, I also had a speaking career that, you know, and I know you've done some TEDx's and I've done a couple, and I was doing 60, 70 keynotes a year for a long time for some of the biggest organizations in the world. And quite literally on some of these stages, I'm watching some of these guys, and sometimes I'm going, man, this is one of the best speakers I have ever heard, and I've never heard of this guy, and I've never heard of them since. Because there were no systems, there were no business systems, there were no relationships there that helped perpetuate that human. And the reverse was also true. I'd be like, ooh, everybody knows this guy. I'm super excited to see this guy. And he gets on stage, and it's kind of like,
there's nothing there.
Like, that's okay. That was fine, you know, and but it's the same. It's because of the exact same thing. So what you're saying there is extraordinarily true, extraordinarily powerful. And there's a lot of opportunity for those who understand that and focus where the focus needs to be.
That's right. And that's the biggest thing in business is you got to know people. So one of the reasons I go to conferences these days is not to hear the speakers. I haven't heard everything they have to say. I go there to meet the other people who showed up.
Yes, sir.
I'll just stand in the lobby and just shake hands. That's why I go to events.
100%, man. 100%. This is what I mean. Again, we get to do this, Dre. We get to do this multiple times a week, every week. Men, women, young women. This is one of my personally, man, selfishly, it's one of my favorites in a long time, man. I love everything you're talking about. What are you most excited about here now? Like, you're moving on now, and this weekend or before this year is over. Like, what's the exciting thing for you where you're like, ooh, this is my current focus. So these are the last few questions on our side. What's that current focus you're excited about? Where does everybody find what you're working on? And then the most important question to us is, how do we as an organization best support you? Because we love supporting good humans who are doing good things. So what are you most excited about? Where do we find you? How do we support you?
Over these last 150 days of 2025, we're just trying to get 100 conversations started, whether email or on phone, with companies that can use our system. So that's the biggest thing we're doing. So we're doing outreach. I'm a cold caller. I'm an approacher. I approach people. So that's how I got started in sports, how I got started in business, and that's how I met you. We approached you guys.
Oh, and I'm gonna give you and hey, by the way, shout out on this too. So for all you young men, for all you men that are on here, I want you guys to understand something too. We've obviously got a really strong network, so I can reach out to some great folks, and we can get great people in here every week, and it's just a matter of time. But that's awesome. Every once in a while, we'll have people reach out. Oh, nope, that's not true. Quite often, we have people reach out, and we'll go. And that's an honor to have that. And so I'll go through and take a look and be like, all right, that makes sense. Maybe this doesn't make sense, and we'll kind of do a guessing game. I gotta give Mr. Baldwin a shout out. Not only did they reach out, but there was a personal video from Dre right in there who started talking about himself. It was a personal video directly to me, having this and I'm like, man, within a few minutes, I'm like, not only am I impressed by the outreach, I like this guy. I like him. I think like I see. So I start going down the rabbit hole. I start going, yes, this is our people. Like it was that, man. So well done on that. I just wanted to
Oh,
pass
thank you.
that out. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's the number two thing is just we're just trying to start up as many conversations as possible
Yep.
for the direction where I want to go. And of course, we'll
Yep.
iterate and learn along the way. Number three, where can you find me? Well, workonyourgame.com. You can go there. So that branches to everything else. I probably got 30 domain names. So you just go to workonyourgame.com and it'll take you everywhere else that you want to go.
We'll link all that kind of stuff. We'll make sure that goes to our internal group. We'll make sure that goes in the show notes and stuff too. And then again, most important on our side, man, is how can we support Drake as the human, as the father, as the man.
Mm.
What can we do to serve you and lift you up, man? Whatever that looks like.
Well, the best thing you can do is provide a platform for me to
Oh,
answer
man.
these questions. I love answering questions and just talking about things because sometimes talking about it helps you get clear yourself. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
clear on a lot of these things, but in my coaching, a lot of what I'm doing is asking questions, not answering them. So
Yeah.
I like just being able to share with people who want to hear it. I can offer people a free copy of my book. Can I share that?
Oh man, let's go.
Sure. So my book is called the Third Day. It's all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. And we give people a free copy of this. Just cover the shipping. We'll send you a physical copy. Just go to thirddaybook.com. Third day and the word book.com will ship you a physical copy of the paperback version. And it's a sales funnel. So we got a bunch of books. So if you like to read books, we got a lot. So you can just get this one, just cover the shipping. We'll send it to you.
My man. Doing good work, my friend.
Yes, thank you. That's right.
Man, doing some good work. You ever get out here
Yes.
to Western North Carolina, man? We got a cabin next door. You got a place to stay. We got outdoor. I understand the outdoor basketball court game with the double rims and the chain hoops, and you
Oh,
can
you
get
have that?
out there. I can pretend that I can still play. I'm sure you still can play, and you can just light me up, and we have a good time, man. But you're always invited, man. I
We
appreciate
can play
it.
horse.
We can
We can
play
play
horse.
horse. See,
Man,
over 40,
yeah,
you don't be trying to run and jump too much. It's not a
man.
good idea.
Speaking my language already.
Yeah,
Oh, man, I appreciate you. I'm going to take these guys through a quick debrief here. And then
sure.
we're shooting into a live event over the next couple days, but I'll reach back out by end of weekend, early next week. Obviously tag you and all that stuff as we start posting reels and all that kind of stuff. But man, I want to reach
Yep.
out and make sure I can send you a thank you and all that good stuff, man, so we can keep this conversation rolling.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Matt. Thank you, everyone in the audience. Appreciate you guys' attention.
What an honor, man. Guys, give a big thank you, please.
All right. Appreciate you, Matt.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Later.
sir.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, everybody.